Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to create this lazy cucumber character in the app IBIS Paint X. First I'm going to open a FHD canvas and here I'm going to import the color palette that I'm going to use. So it's like a green gradients of green color, and in the first layer I'm going to use brown color as the background. Make sure you keep the bucket tool option as current layer whenever you use it. So in the new layer I'm going to use this green color to draw the cucumber shape using the felt tip pen hard brush along with the mirror ruler tool. So I'm going to draw the shape like this. So I feel like it's more sharper here, so I'm just adding some more bends so that it looks molded one. So this is the shape. I want it to be a little bit bigger and covering the maximum of the space like this. So I just increase the size using the transform tool. And now I want to add a minute detail to the corners of the cucumber shape. So I'm using the watercolor fur brush. This is the brush I created on my wand. So if you want to know how to create this brush, tell me in the comment. I will make a video about how to create this watercolor fur brush. So like this I just added the detail, and you can see the little details here. And if you feel there is a transparency, you can add some more stroke. Now using the liquify pen tool, I'm going to add some bumps here and there so that it adds some features to the cucumber. It make it a little bit like the real cucumber. So like this you just have to drag wherever you want. Keep the liquify thickness as much as you require. So I want the bulges to be little bit smaller, so I'm just using very small size, and I'm going to rename this layer as cucumber base, and for this I'm going to rename this as background. Now I'm going to create a new layer for the eyes and mouth. So if you have any idea or not, so what I'm doing is I'm just going to draw the basic shapes first of all, and then I will move on with the detailing part. So now I'm going to finish the basic shapes just by completing these eyes and mouth. So here you can see, using the ellipse tool and felt tip and hard brush, I just draw the ellipse, and I want it to be a little bit bigger, so I just made it bigger. And duplicating these to draw another eye, just duplicate the layer and change the position like this just by moving the translate X. And now I'm going to merge them together so that it's going to be the single layer for the entire eye. You can see I'm just merging like this using the merge tool, then keeping the alpha lock on, and using the special fill tool, lasso fill tool, I'm going to add the eyelids like this. So if you're not able to draw the exact shape, you can use the curve tool, but for now I'm just okay with this freehand drawing, so I didn't use any tool. And here I want to draw the eyeballs, like the black part of the eye. So I'm just selecting this beach area using the magic wand tool, and like this I'm going to draw whenever we use the magic wand tool, where we click, that area is alone gets selected, so within that we can draw anything without disturbing the other parts. Here I used the magic wand tool to select that beige color area, and inside that area I'm drawing this, so everything happening in this single layer. So now I'm just removing the alpha lock, and I'm going to draw the eyebrows and mouth using the dip pen hard brush. Here you can see I just keeping its opacity to 100%, and I forgot to switch off the ellipse tool. So here you can see just a single stroke like this gives so much of expression to this face. Like this. And like this we're going to do. Now I'm going to draw the mouth using the same dip pen hard brush, and I'm going to cut this area using the lasso eraser, and going to add like this detail using the lasso fill tool also here. And now I'm going to add the shading details, highlight details, everything one by one. For the shading, which means the darker part of the darker details, I'm going to use the linear burn blending mode layer. So here you can see I just changed the color of this cucumber, so I feel like it is already darker. If I add some more darkness, it will become more dark. So I just change the color to milder green, and you can see I'm using the little bit darker green shade in the linear burn blending mode. And the brush I'm using is watercolor fur brush, which I have already told this is the brush I created on my own in the same app from the default brush available. So next I'm just adding darkness more at the bottom. Now I'm going to add the highlight details, so I'm just keeping the layer blending mode as add. I'm going to use some yellowish color at the top using the same brush. So these highlights and shadow details help us to add more expression, more life to the illustration. So here you can see I'm just adding the glowy detail around the eye. It's like the flashes pumping out and the eyes are a little bit inside, so to create such a look. Also above the lips and below the lips I'm going to add the highlights to make the cucumber more shiny, glowy, like that. Now around the eyes, below the eyebrow and lips, I'm going to add some darker details. So I'm just moving back to the linear burn blending mode and using the darker green color, using the watercolor fur brush, I'm just drawing it. Also below the lips like this, and below the eyebrows as well. Okay, now again I want it to be a little more darker. I feel like it's not that much, so using the darker shade, almost like a black color, I'm adding the details, just keeping the opacity as minimum as possible and increasing the size of the brush as I required. I'm adding these details. So once I do this, you can see the drastic difference in the texture and in the detailing part of the cucumber. So what I'm trying to tell is adding the texture really gives us more emotions, or more realistic effect to our art. So I try my best to add texture, any kind of texture which suits based on the concept we are drawing. So here it's the vegetables, so I'm adding the texture related to that. Okay, like this I'm adding the glow details. So we are working on the add blending mode layer right now. Wherever you want to add the glowing details, shiny details like this, highlight details like this, keep the blending mode of the layer as add. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the eyes part. So here you can see I just created a new clipping layer with the linear burn blending mode for the eyes, and adding the darker, something like a rust orangish color or a little bit brownish shade. Using the airbrush I'm adding these details. So once I add darker shadow around the eyes, you can see it change to a 3D eyes like that. So if you want to add shade in specific without adding the details to the other part of the eye, using the lasso tool, just select that area like this and add the shading. Now you can see once I use that lasso tool, I can able to add the details exactly to the left part of the eye without adding any details to the right part. Okay, now I'm going to create a new layer with add blending mode. So as I told before, this is for the highlight, so I'm going to add the highlight details here. Like this. I'm also going to add glowy corners, and using the lasso tool I'm going to select the right eye now, and between the two eyes I'm going to add these glowy strokes. Also on this side as well, make sure you select the entire eye while using the lasso tool to for the selection. If if you leave some part of some half of the eye, it's just going to add detail only that to that half, so it will not work out. So make sure you select the entire area that you are going to work on with. So now you can see I just selected that black eye part using the magic wand tool and adding the details like this. And now using the special fill tool with reduced opacity, I'm making a detail like this. It's like some reflection falling on the eye. Also now I'm increasing the opacity to 100% for that special fill tool and adding this white reflections. Now it looks perfect. Now I'm going to add a layer above the add blending mode layer of that cucumber, and I'm going to use the multiply blending mode layer and fill tip and hard brush with reduced opacity to add the strokes like this. The cucumber have darker and lighter lines in alternative way, so to create that detail I'm going to use this. So you can see I just reduced opacity of that layer, change the blending mode of that layer to the multiply blending mode, and using the liquify pen tool. I'm just moving them in a zigzag manner so that it gives a realistic effect. Now above all, I'm just going to create a layer with blending mode screen. I'm going to add the blush here using the airbrush brush and pink color with force fade on. I'm going to add this detail. Adding a shade of red as well. You can really feel the expression from the eyes of this cucumber. Its look like it is already very lazy to take a bath, and now I'm going to add the bath details. So before that, I'm adding some more darkness at the bottom part of the right bottom of the cucumber. So the light is going to be fall at the top left, so the right side bottom is going to be the darker one. So I'm doing that. Now I just created a new folder above all the layer and dragged one by one inside that folder to make it as a group. So now I just created a clipping layer for that folder with add blending mode to add these light details, highlight details. So here you can see I'm just adding some highlights at the top left. As I told already, the light is going to be fall on the cucumber on the left side. So I didn't add any of these highlights to the right part. This is the reason. Now using the lasso fill tool with white color, I'm going to draw water drops shapes. So here you can see how I change the normal shape into the water drop. Just 1 second magic. That's the specialty of the IBIS Paint X app. They have given so many facilities which we are not aware of. So here you can see I'm just adding the water drops, and I'm going to use the filter water drop to make them as water droplets immediately. So making water drops wherever I need, trying to make the shapes realistic as much as possible. Okay, now it's perfect. Here as well. Okay, now go to the style, click on the water drops, and here you can see it immediately changed into your water drops. You can change the light just rotating that's a small black circle, and adjust the distance, flatness, height of the highlight. Now it looks really like a real water drop. And just going back to the background, now I'm going to add the water drops at the background. For this I'm not going to draw anything, just go to the fire, water, light, and in that material section you can find the rain drops in the window. Just note that name. So that's the name of the material. I will also mention the material name at the top as well as the brushes details at the top. You can check them and try it out while seeing this, while drawing. And now I just change the blending mode of that layer into add. Now again I'm going to the material pattern gray. Here you can find this material. I'm positioning it like this. You can see the detailing. Now just duplicate this, make this layer blending mode as linear burn. So for the new layer I'm going to keep this as add blending mode, and I'm just going to create a clipping layer For that, add blending mode layer and fill with the color beige and then merge with that add blending mode layer. Now moving back to the linear burn blending mode layer of that texture, dragging it a little bit left side or no, bottom right side like this. Now you can see there is a distance between those two, just using the Gaussian blur tool for that layer alone. Okay, now it looks super perfect. Here you can see it looks realistic. Just reduce the opacity of the add blending mode layer like this. Also, I'm going to add some darkness at the corners. Before that, I'm also going to add the glow details. So I just created a blending mode as add like this, so that the the cucumber pops up from the background. Now I just created a linear burn blending mode layer using the same brown color, adding the darkness at the corner using the airbrush brush. Now create the layer with add blending mode at the top of all the layer. Now I'm going to add the highlight, the light highlights. So using some neon green color with the airbrush, I'm adding the shading so the light is going to be fall on the cucumber. Make sure the color is so bright at the corner where you are placing your light. So once you apply such color, you can see how a story is built up behind in the background. So it's like at the right side it's darker, there is no much light, and at the left side top there is a light, and here you can see the water is on the background wall as well as on the cucumber. So the cucumber is not ready for this bath and it's angry. So this is the final look. I hope you like this tutorial. Thank you for watching. So if you are new to my channel, subscribe to my channel, and here is the detail of I'm taking the online class. If you are new to and if you want to learn, please DM me on my Instagram page. Thank you for watching.